Santa Claus was here.
Oh, they're cleaning,
They're cleaning up from
That's
Santa
okay.
Claus.
do you want me to close theirs?
Well, what they're doing is they're bringing stuff back and forth.
Oh,
back
through
and
that
forth.
door.
Yeah, but getting up the walkway was
Yeah.
a challenge.
I know, I was like, oh my
Okay.
god, they didn't have an
The
outdoor
Nutcracker
sale.
and
did
everybody
they?
else in the way.
Okay, it's 6:32. I'm gonna call to order the December 11th meeting of the Charter Commission. We have a quorum. Richard will not be here tonight, and I haven't seen Paul yet. So, but we have a quorum. First order is approval of the regular minutes for December 4th. You got the minutes?
And we have half a page of them. There was, on one of the paragraphs, and I don't have it, it talks about the charter wars instead of the charter was. It's a small correction, but it does.
Probably the
different
second
meaning.
page.
Yeah, I think it's the first paragraph.
No, it's all on first page. Different.
There was 2 pages to it.
Yeah, my second page is not this meeting to adjourn. Did you say wars, like
Do you know?
W-A-R-S?
See if you can find it.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the second page is bigger than my second page. Yeah.
Is it maybe the last time's minutes?
Maybe. Oh, it's not terribly important.
Okay.
I actually thought it was funny.
Any comments? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Sandy.
Second.
Okay. Any corrections, discussion, et cetera, et cetera? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 7-0 with no one abstaining. Okay. Continuing business. That communications letter we didn't get to. And we have 2 versions. We have a Sandy version and we had a Lou version. So if we would, hopefully you read them both from last week and looked at them. And is there any one of them that you would like to put in the paper or something, send a letter to the editor? What's to move forward from the topic? So what is your pleasure? I liked Sandy's.
I'm willing to go with it.
Whatever. I mean, I like Lou's too, so.
Yep, I like Lou's too, but what do we want to do?
I'm just clear me up. This isn't.
No, that's not it. This is it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's right under your hand, isn't it?
You can see that. Oh, you did get good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're doing great. But they keep adjusting and changing.
I don't have Lou's
Oh, I
with
bet
me.
they will.
Yeah.
They have an
Lou,
extra copy.
everything else?
One day
Lou
it's
written.
either
Yeah,
on
I've
this
got
side,
that.
one day it's this side.
Okay, yeah, I've got it.
I can probably get it
So
here.
these are the 2, we had,
Different
2
from
nicely
the-
done letters. Is there one you would like to potentially send to the Chronicle from this commission?
Well, if we send Sandy's and then keep Lou's for future
Month later.
next week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll also write another one
I don't
because
think either one of us
The
has any
topic.
pride of authorship.
No.
on it.
I mean,
I think-
I think the objective here was to get that into the public, remind them that we're here. John had gone to the select board and said, love to have input.
I think it needs to be a repetitive action.
right. So I'll move to put Sandy's in. How's that?
Squeaky wheel.
On that same subject, basically.
Well, let's finish one topic at a time. So I think there was a motion by Lou to put Sandy's draft.
Second.
And does your motion include that it is from the commission?
Yes.
Okay,
She made a motion, I'll second it.
okay. Any further discussion on this topic?
No.
We're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
You want me to send that?
Yes, and just say, we love you all, love from the Charter Commission.
Happy holidays.
Do you think we should name all the members of the Charter Commission or just say the Charter Commission?
Charter Commission.
Got it. Okay, that's a good one. On a roll here.
Or on behalf of the Charter Commission? Here, I'm just thinking the way people they may not understand that you're writing for all of us as opposed to you as a member of the.
She's not gonna have her name on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want
But I don't
people
know
to
who it
actually
is.
read it.
They will, if only to find fault with it.
So Sandy, I was at Monday night's meeting and two things occurred. One, there was three of us sitting there and I advised the other members, I know you watch on TV, to go to a meeting because you can now view it from what we're doing and how it impacts what they're doing. It's pretty interesting to watch.
What meeting were you
This
at?
select board's meeting.
Thank you.
The second one is Galvin was there. And he mentioned that he couldn't find our meetings right away and therefore he couldn't write about them. And I asked a couple other people and they said the same thing.
You have to go to our Facebook page. You can't get it from YouTube, you can't get it from videos. You have to go right to our page on the website, and along the side, there's a click for our YouTube meetings. I don't know why it's like that.
Is that through the town website?
Town
Yes.
website, yeah.
So-
Brewster's
so
website is
that-
looking kind of cool.
Brewster has a great website.
So for the public, if they go on the town website and they go where?
They go to our page,
Okay, so
the
the
Charter Commission page,
page,
and then right alongside, there's a box that says, I don't know, view meetings or something, I've
Okay.
forgotten exactly.
Can I ask a
Okay.
question?
yes ma'am.
For, like, if 3 or 4 of us show up at a meeting on Monday evening,
Do not
but
sit
as
together.
individuals,
Mhm.
is that okay, or do we need to post it?
You can go to a meeting.
You can
Well,
go to
I
any
mean,
meeting.
You're
You
not
just can't
talking-
deliberate.
Yeah, you're not
Can't
talking-
deliberate, so for
talking-
that very sense, don't sit together.
Gotcha.
Or don't say anything.
Yeah, and whatever, and if you do stand up and say something, you are speaking for, I'm speaking for
As an
me,
individual.
not for any other anything.
Yeah, best not to even get too involved in charter discussion there if there is a quorum there.
And 5 is
It's
a
just
quorum,
safer.
but 4 is already enough. But yeah, so that, we don't need to post if you all end up at a meeting, but definitely don't sit together, cause now when I sat on the select board, we started getting a little
Perceived.
flack because we would be sitting with each other and there was a perception that are you? And so we said, oh, so we started sitting, making sure we weren't sitting together. So I would just do that.
All right.
But you have every right as a citizen to go to any meeting your little heart desires, sit in the audience and stand up and speak. As long as you're not speaking for the commission.
Thank you.
Cool, all right. Chapter 7, continuing on chapter 7, good old chapter 7.
Can't get past it.
So, we got some good information. I forget who sent out this Town of Harwich Committee governance details, which had this one.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of you sent that out, I forget. Somebody did.
Is that from Emily?
That's the Emily, which she did probably a year ago, and this was just, and it goes through, the first column is regulatory, second one is required by state law, and then there was charter, other agreements, and select board created. So I think what we're talking about on the appointed agencies, we seem to be going in the direction last meeting to just have the, if it's required by Mass General Law or the regulatory agencies, those are the ones that should be in the charter. I think we were going in that direction. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Linda, who sent it out? I don't remember
There's
seeing. Anybody here send it out?
somebody sent, one of us sent it out,
A while back.
I think just recently, maybe within the last week or two.
Oh, no, before that.
You had, before that,
I have a big copy of it from
Wow.
somewhere,
probably from Emily.
because I don't
Oh.
have that kind of paper on the
Yeah.
printer, I don't know exactly where I got
Oh,
it
wait a
from.
minute. Yeah, that's what I got here. Yeah.
There it is. I think I provided that a long time ago, the big copy.
Yeah, 'cause I can't print that.
I think I went, took it, and hers was on a, you know,
Yeah, I like that.
big one.
Yeah.
And I think I went to Staples and just got some made. So, I wanna share.
Do you think it came from Emily then?
Yeah, this came from
It
Emily.
was a year ago,
Oh, wow.
A
okay?
year ago?
Yeah, about a year ago,
Oh, I was like, have we been meeting for a
No.
year
Oh,
already?
it just seems like,
That there was a bylaw charter review
Gotcha.
committee too.
Got you. I just had a slight lapse there in my brain, like, oh my god.
it just seems like a year.
This
It
was,
does
this
feel
was,
like a year.
this was put together before our committee maybe? Oh,
Probably,
okay, that's
For
fine, I'm
the-
fine, yeah, okay.
yeah. So
For
those
the
are
charter
just,
review
As
committee.
much as
Oh,
it doesn't seem
oh.
possible, there was a before.
No,
yeah,
I
there was a
can't
before.
even read this.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's why this
that's
is
why I
nice.
passed it over to you.
Yeah, that's why,
So,
that's nice. But I
Nobody
think
else.
I think I'm the one who took hers and
And
got
blew it
it
up.
copied in the big,
yeah,
Big
maybe
paper.
I'll ask her. She
I
can
can stop in
print a
there
few
and
copies.
ask Emily.
Okay.
Cause I bring Judy's invoice every.
Got
Monday,
it, you
so
have to
I'll
bring
stop
Judy's
in.
invoice.
Yes, I mean, yeah.
so, I mean, I think what that says is if you go down the side, you've got your regulatory agencies and you've got your ones that are required by Mass General Law. Finance Committee, Finance Committee is required by Mass General Law. Select Board, the Housing Authority, the Brooks Free Library are required, those are 3 elected boards. And then you have, ZBA, Board of Health, Conservation Commission, Harwich Historical District, Historical Commission, because we combined the 2 of them at one point, Planning Board, Board of Assessors, the Board of Registrars, FinCom, and CPC. So, I think those are the ones we're looking at to have in the charter. And the Finance Committee and capital outlay are both in the financial section. And the Board of Registrars at this point is in the Select Board appointments section. So it looks like these are the ones that we're thinking should be in the charter.
Maybe you can read it, I can hardly read it, so.
I have to take my glasses off and get close. I think the rest of the committees, there's the other appointments. We appoint someone to the Pleasant Bay Steering Committee, or we appoint somebody to here, but they're not under the control of the Select Board. But they are appointed by the Select Board. And then you have all the rest of the committees, which are the last column. So it looks like that's the group. What?
What's the difference between a local planning committee and the planning board?
The planning board has the authority, is a regulatory committee, has the authority to give permits, approvals to build something, site plans, etc. The local planning committee was the
Is that the
The
comprehensive?
child of the
Comprehensive.
comprehensive
select
plan.
board for the comprehensive plan.
And they have, because we're supposed to update the comprehensive plan every X number of years, I
Right.
think it's 5 years. So the committee basically does the local comprehensive plan draft, and once it's done, they disband. In the next number of years, a new one will be appointed, so it's not an ongoing, it's more of an ad hoc.
Well, here's a question for you.
Mhm.
As we think about what might or might not be in the charter with respect to committees, would it be useful to maybe write a letter to the select board to say this is what we're thinking about and ask for specific input on this? I think it might be helpful.
Once you make a decision, you mean?
Well, while we are considering a decision. I think there may be things that we haven't considered that they might have some opinion on, and I think it would be important to have their feedback sooner rather than later.
And laying out that we are leaning in the direction of what gets put in the charter. Are these specific committees because they're regulatory or they're under Mass General Law?
And moving the rest to the bylaw.
And moving the rest to a
And
bylaw.
let them put it on the agenda and have a discussion of their own about it.
Yep.
I just think that a few of the things that we're thinking about, a few of the areas, I think that would be helpful because you kind of, want to keep them on board, and they may have some thoughts that certain things should be in the charter that we might not see that way.
And maybe it'll provide a push to put something on an agenda. Because if you recall, it was at least a month ago or 6 weeks ago, we had 2 members of the select board come to one of our meetings, and there's yet to be anything agended on a select board agenda that talks about what do they think about charter changes, so they have not done that yet. So that's,
So there's another letter to draft.
so, how do we think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can draft a letter.
Now, let me just get this clear. We're trying to incorporate the regulatory and the state law and just write them into the charter as
Required, yeah, as-
required, necessary. And moving all these other ones from there that are in the charter column now, other agreement and select board created, to bylaws.
Well,
Yeah.
the bylaws only need to deal with the committees other than what the select board creates. They can,
Okay.
they can make up committees and get rid of them whenever it pleases them to, but some of these other committees don't necessarily have to be in the charter if we wanna put them in the bylaw instead. Just the argument being that it makes it easier to change if you wanna change in any specific committee. Charter takes a couple of years, bylaw takes till the
Town
next
meeting.
town meeting.
And putting them into the bylaw means listing them all as to what their composition is. 5 members and 2 alternates, 7 members and 6 alternates, that kind of, it's not putting in their, I don't think we're talking about taking the bylaw and saying, this is the purpose of each committee. I don't
Right.
think we're talking about that. But just putting in the bylaw that this is where the
The
compositions
composition
are.
of them, okay.
And right now they have 13 listed committees and boards in that grouping on the composition of appointed town agencies.
In the charter,
In the, no, in the bylaw.
in the bylaw,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Some of them aren't listed, some of them are.
Right, that's why it's a little, I was doing the research, I was just trying to figure it all
Yeah.
out, it's all
So
over
you
the place.
don't wanna put the purpose of the committee, so where does the purpose of the committee become established?
Let's.
Not in the
let-
charter.
Let's split, if it's an appointed, so the regulatory probably in the charter should say, let's pick the planning board. The planning board has responsibility for
Yeah.
shortened version.
And most of it is mass general law.
And most of it is according to Mass General, the jurisdiction, Mass General Law, et cetera, et cetera. The rest of the committees, really their charge comes from the select board.
Okay,
So like I can speak for the Traffic Safety Committee. We have a charge, it was developed with the Traffic Safety Committee, and our liaison happened to be Jeff Handler at the time, I think it still is. And we updated it, and he presented it to the select board, and it was accepted. So each committee, all these appointed committees are supposed to have a charge.
well, okay, water wastewater operates under 2 different sets of mass general laws.
Mm-hmm. True, so
The
maybe the,
select board does not charge that committee,
nope, so maybe on the appointed
and
side.
they're elected.
And they're elected, so we've got the water, wastewater should be there.
On charter,
Can I see that? Is there, where is the water, wastewater
not
there?
the big one.
Capital outlay also seems like one that should
Yep.
not be just left to
Here, let
a
me-
mention in the bylaws, that's an
I got
important.
this, I'm good. Well, I think that capital outlay and finance committee are in are chapter 9, which is the financial provisions, so they're there.
Okay,
And if we go with the proposal to have a charter bylaw
You guys wanna look?
That would be
compliance
elected.
committee, that's gonna be listed under elected.
yeah.
So these are the appointed. Where is water,
Another thing we
wastewater?
should try to sort out, I think, is that is that the Brooks Academy Commission and the Rec and Youth Commission. So at some point, we need to come into an understanding about why they're
It's a
called
big
commissions
charter.
rather than committees.
Yeah, right
I'm
there.
not sure whether it's just old habit and old usage, or whether there's a specific reason for either.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that, like even when I
Yeah.
was going through this, like
Department
you can have
division.
7 members or you can have 3 full members. Like what would be the difference? So it's just,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that as you go through this.
But I think as we go through it, we can say, okay, well, we think that this is our proposal. this committee's supposed to have 3. And that's the stuff that we can then present to the select board and say, here's our suggestion to clean this stuff up. This one committee, we're saying 3. Okay, you wanna make it 5, fine.
Okay.
Naturally, I must have misunderstood. I thought where we left off last week was we wanted to decide whether we wanted to list them or not list them. And if we wanted to have a major paragraph that maybe described their functions.
A short paragraph.
Right, and then maybe just list them without having the information that's now there, all that information. At least that's the impression that I had. And then my buddy over here brought up the planning board. And with that discussion of should we split it or not.
Well,
But I know, but I'm saying that's where, I'm
and
trying to
that's-
get everything.
And that's where I think we were, is that that we were generally in agreement to have things like Rec and Youth,
Yep,
which is an appointed committee, and does it belong being listed in the charter or not? And so I think that's where we're going, was saying regulatory, required by state law, and there's a couple of things like water, wastewater, capital outlay that are listed already in chapter 9, but removing the other ones.
Right.
And I'm not sure why those were ever in there. At this point, that's the change we're gonna make or propose.
We were switching over from, 200 years of operation and tradition in 1987, and much has changed since then.
so if we had a paragraph on the non-regulatory that just explained that these committees can be formed and that they serve a function.
That's under
And
the
then
select
leave it,
board.
right, and then leave it that it's select board's discretion to bring them in, take them out, do whatever.
That would end up being probably included under powers of appointment.
That's the
Yep.
powers of
Mhm.
appointment.
Right, okay.
That's a good spot, yeah.
Because they have the, they can appoint committees.
That solves that issue.
So
Now-
how
And
we,
then the description of the appointed committees, does that go in here, or does that
Well,
go?
if they're going to be included in the bylaw, it should be in the bylaw.
Yeah.
There has to
Okay.
be some description of their function.
Oh, yeah.
And we can
Particularly since people go looking for such things, and if they,
Right.
I would think that in the charter, that if this regulatory committee is following the rules of Mass General Law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it should say, the planning board will function according to Mass General Law, blah, blah, blah. And have that in there as opposed to say, and we'll give permits and do site plan reviews, but they function under Mass General Law. Because then if Mass General Law changes, their authority changes. So maybe that's also another way to put this in here, that, required by law, this is it, Mass General Law, and have those citations, which you gave us a bunch of those citations.
including also their planning functions, their long-range planning responsibilities, which they, generally are supposed to be doing.
And they have in the past, proposed bylaw changes and zoning changes and the like, so they do planning.
Well, once upon a time, they did the planning, and the planner at the time was Michael Castellano, and he operated under the planning board.
Mhm.
Now we have this local planning committee, which is doing that kind of long-range planning, and that's where the argument comes in for maybe splitting the functions, because first of all, the burden on these boards at this point, ZBA, but more particularly the planning board, is enormous. And how they would find any real time to do that kind of planning and take care of all the regulatory stuff. So I think it would make their job a little easier, and have an actual robust, long-range planning committee.
I think we would have to probably ask the planning board what they thought of that.
That would be a good thing to do. Agreed.
Okay, just
Great.
went down the wrong page.
John?
In reading the stuff that Brendan did, on the different groups and things, I read it here that the regulatory committees, and you can correct me, Mo, are not required by law. If the select board wants to do it themselves, they can do it. Otherwise, they appoint a planning board. So, do we want to keep Is that how it's interpreted?
I think that was based on population as well, if you can create or not create, if not, it defaults to the select board
Yeah.
at the time.
You
So-
don't want to change
No, I don't want to, but,
that.
maybe we should agree that we should keep it as the regulatory and not have it this, if we're looking at everything comprehensively, do we wanna give the selectmen back the power to do it?
Well,
To do what specifically?
Be the planning board, or be the board of health.
I
No.
understand.
No, we don't, I know we don't,
So,
but you can,
well, that's
But-
fine.
yeah,
and
that's what I'm
some of
saying.
it, and some of that is based on population, because you
Yeah.
have a town that has 5,000 people in it. The select board tends to be the planning board, and they tend to be
Tended to usually
multiple
be,
jobs.
used to be the Board of Assessors, Select Board, Selectmen, and, Board of Health, all usually were held by the same people.
Right,
That wasn't required, but that's how it played out.
Mhm.
They were all three positions elected separately, but the same people who ran for selectmen ran for the other two boards traditionally.
mhm,
And then we had a couple of years where people got elected who weren't selectmen to some of these Board of Health, I think it was. So that kind of shifted that out of that traditional,
mhm,
the way we've always done things
mhm.
kind of mindset.
No, I agree, I'm not advocating giving the selectmen board any more of these committees. But, a lot of these committees could fall under the regulatory umbrella too. A lot of them say, their thing is, their governance is Mass General Law. So you could move all those over to here.
Yeah, there's a couple I didn't
you
get
wanted
to.
to.
Yeah, in that assignment, I didn't get to them because they are attached to the Mass General Law.
Affordable Housing Trust, it's 3 or 4.
And the
here.
Affordable Housing Trust is a different animal because it's a trust and it actually has documents as to how it's supposed to conduct themselves. Because that's a question I have, is the Affordable Housing Trust was created after the last charter, and should that be referenced in the charter? Because it is an appointed board. It's not elected, it's appointed,
Yep.
and it does have a whole bunch of others, so should it be included?
And we're slightly tied to the town as well. So
And town, yes, but tied to
because
the town.
they hold our money, they do our yearly audits, they can appoint, they can remove.
Yep.
So there's about maybe 5 items that they're involved in. But yeah, we're somewhat still tied, even though we have our own control.
Yep.
I think the fine point of difference about Mass General Law is regulatory boards like Board of Health and Planning and ZBA operate according to how Mass General Law is written. Some of these other boards exist because they're allowed under Mass General Law, but they don't operate general laws
True.
within the purview of their responsibilities.
I mean, I think of a regulatory board as somebody who has the say that Judith wants to build an extension on her house. Therefore, it goes to the planning board, and they have to go to the zoning board. There are votes taken, and she either gets to build it, or she doesn't, or there's conditions. They have the right to make that decision
Under Mass General.
under
It's
Mass
based on the
General Law.
guidelines, yeah.
But the other things that have been created because Mass General Law says we can,
Are not
they're
necessarily
not
regulatory.
operating Mass General Law.
Right,
But
correct.
they're just authorized by.
So that's an interesting,
That's where I stopped my assignment. I didn't want to go down this rabbit hole of just creating all. So I really went after the top 6.
Yeah.
But yeah.
because the housing authority is elected. Mostly elected, but some appointed by, the governor appoints one. I think the others 3 are elected, and one is supposed to be a member, a tenant. So it's primarily an elected board. And
A
it does
tenant,
operate under Mass General Law,
A tenant of
All the
housing trust
properties.
property?
yes.
No,
The affordable,
affordable,
the housing authority.
Yeah, which is a state board.
who I
It's
think
effectively
has
is a
a
state
handful
board.
of properties and hasn't added a single unit in decades.
Money.
So Linda, in terms, Madam Chair, forgive me.
Oh, please, Linda, I don't want to deal with this Madam Chair crap.
Well, he's not here to say it,
Yeah.
so I'm
Well,
doing it
Richard
for
does
him.
say
He
a lot.
does it, and it drives me crazy, Madam Chair.
He loves it.
What?
Yeah.
It makes me
So-
sound like I should be running a bordello. Well, maybe that's what this is.
He does it because it drives you crazy.
Yes.
Yes, he says
That's
it
right.
because it drives me crazy.
So, can we look at regulatory perhaps, from my perspective, in terms of those which have a direct impact on the community as a whole, where regulation takes place, and where the selectmen and the TA have an influence on what they do through the building department? No, I'm not saying to write that, I'm just trying to see how that works.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that
Does
way.
it?
No.
The planning board gets that application from Judith,
Right.
and they look at it. The town administrator doesn't have anything to do with whether or not they pass it or not. There is a building
I
department
understand.
that is generating reviews of things and doesn't matter and making suggestions.
Got the permit.
But here's where I'm coming
I'm
from.
trying to figure
I
out
know,
where you're coming
it's not
from.
easy, it's a long
Never
track.
is.
We know that.
Okay.
We're trying to see,
Concepts-
you're like Oblio. What's
Concepts
your
are
point?
difficult, I'm sorry. And especially when you see the whole picture and then you have to pull it apart to bring it together.
It swings
But
off
we do
butterflies, too.
have
Mhm.
a town employee that is always at the planning board, helps guide the planning board. So in practice, there is a direct influence from the town administrator through an employee through the planner. So that's one of the points I'm trying to make.
Oh, no.
Because
No.
the town planner is there to guide on mass
Expedite.
law.
I've been to quite a few of those meetings, that's nonsense.
Well, the planner does not operate at the direction, as far as the regulatory direction of the town administrator.
It is staff support.
It's
Okay.
just staff support. It's informational as far as the planning board is concerned. As far as, planning is concerned, that town planner should mostly be planning, but they also provide information to the regulatory boards as to, what some of the guardrails
Yeah,
rules
exactly.
are, but that's not directly influenced. The town administrator, I think, in interaction with the planner is mostly concerned with whether they come to work on time and get the job done.
Right, we're living through a very interesting period right now with the planning board and the zoning board of appeal.
We will have that
Yeah,
anytime
right.
there are controversial things that come up. So leave the controversial
Right.
stuff out of it.
But that issue still needs to be addressed, whether it's specific to controversial, which is, the area that it functions within that has an impact that you just can't look at a book and say, these are the laws.
Well,
So
actually,
cultural.
Mass General Law isn't going to tell you to look at cultural in a planning board situation. There's rules and regulations. Judith's extension on her house has to meet height regulations, lot coverage, blah, 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 blah. If she's a historic house, she has to get permission from the Historic Commission, etc. There are rules and regulations to be followed.
I'm totally on board with that, and I believe that's 60% of their job. 40% of their job is to take into account how it fits into the neighborhood, is to take into account.
The laws currently written do not allow
Do not
that.
allow that.
Right.
That's the problem, and that's what got people's hair on fire, is that they're sitting there looking at boards that have certain rules and laws that they must follow and standards that they must apply, and none of them include whether it's gonna look nice in the neighborhood.
Public
So
sentiment.
if just see if by memory, so I'm thinking back to, when Route 124, I think it was like, I was actually
When
on
they
the
wanted-
housing authority at that
And
time.
I was on the select board at that time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember there was a big meeting at the high school, but we had our meeting, so I wasn't there. But I think that big meeting was with the planning board versus the select board. And that was to decide whether or not to take state money.
Yes, TIP project.
TIP project
Exactly.
would have made the road straight.
Very different, very
Very
different
different.
kind of discussion.
So,
We had applied for that money.
but I guess my question is that where your brain
Yes,
is going? Like
yes.
this, but I think it still fits into,
Oh,
it's tip money, X, Y, and Z has to happen.
If you
It's-
accept the funding.
And the
You
select
accept
board
the fund-
But what
applies
these
for the
guys are
tip.
doing
Right,
is not that.
but if I'm really
No, I'm
looking
trying to
at,
understand where his brain is.
oh, you
going.
can't
I
understand.
think we all.
We have, it's really complicated but simple. We have a board, planning board.
Mm-hmm.
We use that example. There is a discussion of tearing it into two.
I wouldn't use tearing.
Well, yeah,
Separating.
separating.
And we're
into
gonna ask
two.
the planning board, so
Right.
we'll ask them their
Right,
opinion.
but that's what's driving a lot. So what's that other half going to do if they're not going to do the planning? And what is planning? Planning is how does it fit into the neighborhood? Planning is culture. Planning is all these things. That's planning. And that's what it's gonna do.
Except, regardless of what
Pardon me?
you want to have happen, and that you only want a 50,
Here's the short answer.
yes,
The planning board, as it sits right now, is engrossed in the regulatory.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I wouldn't say it's 60-40,
All right,
probably not even close.
I was being kind.
A separate planning committee could start to work on what a lot of towns on the Cape and across the state want to work on, and that is making the powers that be in Boston understand that we're not cookie cutter communities.
Hmm.
And that's when you get into the discussion of form-based
Right.
regulation as
Right.
opposed to what we have now. And that's a huge discussion, and with that kind of discussion in mind, it would seem to me be all the more reason to have a separate committee that could strictly focus on those. The lobbying, the talking to Boston, or, working on, what Harwich would like Harwich to be when it grows up, before it's too late to
That
fix it.
vision.
Yeah, it always keeps
Okay.
coming back.
So it's, I mean, a good example of that is the Affordable Housing Trust and the Housing Committee. Since the trust has come into effect, the Housing Committee, not saying they're a little lost, but they're trying to find their way, and they just rebuilt their, they got to a quorum. So they're trying to get to where they need to be as well, so, God, what's the point I was trying
Well,
to make
maybe
there?
the housing committee and a planning committee.
No, I mean, so to your point is the Housing Committee can be given, whether it's 40Y, seasonal community, stuff that's everyone's talking about, and that could be the charge from the select board. But
The
I hear
idea-
what you're saying, you can separate and give them
Yeah.
something else.
And we
But
can
I-
move that to
but I-
historic. We have historic district, which is incorporated with the historic commission. So the district deals with the regulations in this little square, and the commission deals with the whole town. And when you start thinking of square and town, they don't often mesh. And different mindsets, the right brain versus the left brain, will get involved in those kinds of discussions. So that is a case to be made for planning.
but I'm still trying to get to, regardless of what any planning may or may not get done, there are still rules and regulations that
Yes.
get followed and applied, and I think that there may be a case to maybe have a separate, keeping a local planning group that is going to be looking at this, or continuing those kind of conversations. But keep in mind that regardless of what the neighbors may or may not want, there are, they may not,
Well,
just,
the planning committee could work on questions of zoning or rezoning.
Sure.
That sort of thing, where I don't think the planning board really has the time for that.
No, they don't.
so so I think that in this discussion, I'll contact and talk to the chair of the planning board and see if they would like to bring this up to their group as to what do they think about this. And maybe keeping that local planning committee rather than being ad hoc and going away, that it becomes I'm gonna say semi-permanent committee,
Institutionalized?
institutionalized, memorialized.
I suggest we also take that as one of the questions to the public.
eventually, yeah.
beyond the specific
Eventually.
committee that deals with it every day.
But I think that, but its first step is the
Yep.
planning board, and what do the select board think of this?
Yep.
You know, would they be willing to support that?
I definitely agree with you, Sandy, though, that gotta start at Beacon Hill.
This
What-
is,
to
this
get
is
what
the
he's
thing
talking
that's-
about,
this is
it
the
ain't
thing
gonna
that's
happen
so
here.
No,
frustrating
it's not
for
gonna happen.
people.
Some
I mean,
can.
you're hearing all kinds of, you know, moves to tar and feather certain local committees because they didn't do what they couldn't do. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like chapter 40B. Chapter 40B has some very specific things that,
Yeah.
if it's gonna be a 40B, it can be a friendly 40B or an unfriendly 40B. But there are a lot of things that, once you go into 40B,
It's all by
town doesn't,
statute.
it's all by statute, the town doesn't have a lot of say.
Not a lot of
And,
room.
and I think that that's where some of the, I don't like that project. Well, you don't like it, but it fits all the little guidelines of 40B. And people get lost in the I don't like it versus by right. I'll call it a by right. You know, you may not like that your neighbor is building a house, but if it fits the lot size and it perks and it's got the lot coverage and the height and the blah, 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 all that, it's by right.
It's like
This
the
helps
multifamily
really
bylaw
explain
that will test that.
Huh?
This really
The
puts it-
multifamily bylaw.
He's gonna test
Yeah,
that,
it's
yeah.
gonna test that.
And the multifamily, you're right, the multifamily bylaw that, have we passed, I forget, I
Yes.
lose,
Yeah.
yes, we passed that, and it hasn't really hit yet. But,
It's gonna.
but it will, and that
It's
is gonna
gonna.
test that,
What's that?
The multifamily bylaw.
that you can put a multifamily in a single-family resident, it changes the zoning somewhat,
Yeah, you really could do it anywhere if you wanted to.
yeah.
Are you talking about just the ADUs or an
No.
additional?
No.
Multifamily. It sits with planning board, not ZBA, so it'd be a planning board, they make that decision. The multifamily bylaw is underneath their governance.
So, yeah, when the first one shows up, that'll test that.
Yep.
Because again, if it's in the bylaw, and you meet all the criteria of the bylaw, then we're kind of, the discussion is over, except for people who aren't happy with the bylaw now and didn't understand it perhaps, et cetera. Go ahead, Lou. you had-
Smith Street. one?
Linda,
Yes,
would-
that's right.
when you're asking the planning board and the select board, could you add a little, just a mention of how about some of these boards being elected versus keeping them appointed the way they are? What are their feelings towards that issue?
Fair.
I know I don't wanna have any more elected people.
You're so good at getting it running. You always get elected. Give me a break.
I have no interest in adding more elected people.
Just to follow up on,
And you would disagree.
I would
Go ahead,
dis- I
just
would
to
also
follow up on
disagree.
Lou's, he hasn't mentioned it yet, or maybe, or he said it in one of his notes somewhere, a splitting a current board into two boards, like the planning board.
Yep,
Yep.
that's what we're talking about here. The split.
The split.
And I think we had already agreed last week that we were split ourselves on additional elected versus no more elected. So that's gonna be one of the ones that goes to the public meeting and says, what do you think? And if there's a groundswell of, yeah,
I
okay,
think there might be some real interest in town to have at least a couple of the regulatory boards elected at this point.
Yep.
I think you'd be surprised.
but I think that it's what this community wants.
That's what I'm talking about, this community.
Some may want it, some may not, and
Well, I'm seeing a lot of,
Chatter.
You asked
Oh,
us
yeah.
to go do some research and
Yeah.
talk to, so I talked to everybody that I know that will do things the way I like, and
two
they all
people?
said yes. I was surprised.
The
well,
two
I'm
people?
I'm just watching the frustration of,
Yes, there is.
of lack of control among, you know, a very wide swath of about 4,000 people that I visit daily. And I think there might be some significant interest in
Okay.
In what?
But I
in-
think-
An
more
election.
elected,
more
possibly
elected.
a couple of the regulatory boards.
And I bet
Oh.
the people that are appointed will run.
Run. So
Maybe.
they-
That takes
It's
care of
possible.
that problem.
Yeah.
I think people will run if they're, you know, I mean, what gets people to run at the end of the day is when they're unhappy about something that's going on.
Absolutely, and
But
they
then-
should have that
That's always,
opportunity.
that's always what you,
Absolutely.
it's their Irish up and they say, I'm gonna go in and fix this until they find out that
They
it's not
can't.
that easy.
Right, the number of years, because I know that at one point I was on the housing committee, and I know that we had an individual that was on the housing committee, and he left after 6 months because nothing was moving. And we kept trying to explain, well, first you have to find the land, then you have to find a plan, then you have to find the money, then you have to do this. It takes 7 years to build an affordable housing complex. By the time you get done with all of that,
Your typical 40B is anywhere from 5 to 9 years.
yeah, it doesn't happen just because it's not like in your own household where you say, I want to have meatloaf for dinner tonight. You go out and get meatloaf and you make meatloaf, and it's done.
Sure, in your
It's-
household.
In our household, it works that way, but it just, so, back to the letter to the select board, what is being considered, got it, talk to the planning board, got it. Back to the charter, what gets listed in the charter?
Just for some clarity,
Well,
so,
that's the question we're going to ask,
yeah,
is it not?
Well, I think we should have some opinion.
Let's start with
This is where we're thinking of going.
Well, I think we have some
planning board.
bones.
I'm not sure that I have it yet, because it's going back and forth. Go ahead.
so chapter 7, sections 1, 2, and 3, whether we change any language and clean it up there.
Yeah.
But then sections 4, I mean, it almost should be a different section, but anyways, we just keep it running as sections. So we keep the regulatory boards up front, you know, whether they're in position section 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, let's say there's that. And then after that, we're gonna have that blurb and then list the committees that will be appointed and then that charge to the select
No.
board? No?
No,
We're not gonna have it anywhere in there, not listed at all. Okay.
so I'm gonna go back to, we say regulatory boards. Name them for me, because I wanna write them down.
Yeah, we have to figure
So,
them all out.
Health, ZBA,
minute.
planning,
Health, ZBA, Planning Board,
Historic,
historic district, historic commission,
Conservation.
conservation. Yeah, you've got the 6 that you've got here.
yeah,
I think that pretty much covers it.
I mean,
far
Board
as
of
regular-
Assessors?
Board of Assessors isn't really a regulatory board.
Yeah, it's, because
Well, yeah,
it's
yeah.
in there, it tells you how you can organize it, but there wasn't much on it
Yeah, I mean,
when I
it's-
looked it up.
I don't know if the water wastewater goes there, or that's,
they do have,
they do a lot of,
we're not limiting.
chapter 9 is the
We're
Finance
giving the
Committee
select
and
board
Capital Outlay
opportunity.
Committee, specifically for there.
So it's C6 right here, that's under regulatory?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6,
Well-
but the select board themselves are a whole different section,
Yeah.
The
no,
first
but
one is select, but the other 5,
The 6 regulatory.
of which we would be listing the 5,
Oh, I see, set board to the top, okay,
right?
thank
Select
you.
board is at the top.
Okay.
Go
Linda,
ahead.
if we're not gonna put a paragraph under each one explaining, and we're just listing, we can,
I think we are going to put
we are
some
going
kind of
to?
commentary, but let's not write that here.
No.
I'm just trying to get the names.
and I'm saying it can be more. If you don't have a lot of commentary, you're just listing what committees are, maybe one sentence, because how many people should be on a committee? Is that really a commission, or is that a bylaw? I don't know, you're better at that than I am.
I think it's important for so use the assessors, for example. You could do 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 members, but in the bylaw, you could say we have 3. But it'd be nice to go back and reference something rather than chasing it back to the Mass General Law.
And that's why the bylaw exists,
Mm-hmm.
because if you say, we're
It gives
going
the
to have a
detail.
board of assessors, done. Check the bylaw, whatever it is, for the composition of that group. And in the bylaw, it says Board of Assessors, 3.
Well, you just say, you could planning board, which shall operate in accordance with,
Mass General Law, blah, blah, blah.
and town bylaw,
And
blah, blah,
town
blah.
bylaw.
Easy.
And in the
Town
bylaw, it
bylaws
does
and
have the
zoning.
composition of appointed agencies. It has a list in the membership and the charter reference number. So,
So, are those the ones that we want listed in the charter, the regulatory agencies we're looking at?
Finance?
I
That's
said
not
that chapter
Finance.
9 has finance
Oh,
and
okay,
capital
I'm sorry, I
outlay.
didn't look at
Those are
chapter
the
9.
financial positions, yeah.
Herb?
Will these be named as regulatory in the charter?
Well, we're saying what is in the charter.
Oh,
It says appointed town, the charter's title is appointed town agencies. So we're listing specific ones,
mm-hmm,
and perhaps there can be a paragraph referencing the select board
Duties.
can appoint anybody else they want, or other, whatever committees they want. And then have one general statement, composition of each committee is referenced in bylaw, et cetera, et cetera. And the bylaw should list them all.
Sounds good.
And just so we're clear, everything is called an agency.
Yes.
Correct, we'll
To
keep
try,
that the same.
to try and get out of, is it a board, a commission, a committee, just call it a town agency.
Agency, yeah, as an organization, blah, 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 gotcha.
So do we sort of have a
Framework.
framework here?
Yeah.
Cool.
Better, you, more than bones.
And the Water Wastewater Commission is an elected board.
Correct.
So that's under the chapter that is elected, so that's an E. That's an elected board, so that's under elected, not appointed.
That's
School
under 6.
School committees,
School committee is under elected
Yeah.
board.
mm-hmm.
yeah.
So, are we proposing then to get rid of the cemetery commission, the
Not
recreation
get rid
commission?
of them, but take
them in
them
the
out of
bylaws.
the.
Out of
put
the
them in-
charter, yeah.
Take them out of the charter.
You just reference them to the bylaw.
It's the bylaw would say cemetery commission has, 3 people and 2 alternates or whatever.
In the bylaw,
And a stiff
In the bylaw.
constituency.
and that whatever their responsibilities may be, if they need to have them, or it's just really under the purview of the select board.
And the reason for that is because we don't list all the agencies already in the charter.
we do
So
not.
now we just wanna put the
Make it uniform.
5 most important ones in there, and then reference them all the others in the bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay,
They were all important, John.
yeah. Well, then put them in the charter.
No. Because then that's gonna be 35,
Okay.
it's
No,
gonna
just,
be,
So
what are the ones we need to have
Mhm.
in order to function as a town? Which are the regulatory, the Board of Health,
Mhm.
ZBA, planning, in order to function? We don't really need a,
finance,
traffic safety, we don't, the other
Well, they're
committees,
covered somewhere else, the finance. and
no,
capital.
but that's one of the ones that we need. It's
Yeah,
just-
okay.
but it's under chapter 9, which
but
is the
it's
financial
in the
section.
charter, is the point.
Yeah, it's in the charter,
Yeah.
but under section, chapter
Yeah,
9.
Yeah, okay.
Does this seem like it made sense?
It'll make more sense on paper.
Yes,
Yeah.
it will.
Yeah. Head's spinning right now.
Aw.
Yeah, it'd be in mine.
Well, I'm just wondering if, you're the town citizen and you wanna look up the town charter and the bylaws, or I mean, in the town charter, which is kind of the condensed version of the bylaws. Now you're gonna have to go to the bylaws.
That's
But,
okay,
yeah,
they have to
otherwise-
anyways.
Yeah, otherwise the charter will
Well,
become as
it
big
gets
as.
the charter to be more broad as it is intended to be.
Mhm.
Because if you really get down to fine tuning all the specifics, I mean, I had this argument with Angelo Lamontia with the Bylaw Charter Review Committee years ago, that he wanted to put the entire wastewater bylaw into the charter
Mhm.
when it was brand new.
Lord save
And it
us.
was pages and pages and pages and pages.
Yeah,
And I finally, by the end of the meeting, managed to convince him that he didn't want them in the charter. Because if they made a mistake, if there was something that didn't function properly, it would take them 2 years to fix it. They just needed to put the fact of its existence in the charter and go to the
Reference the
bylaw, which
bylaw.
could be changed much more quickly. So we finally got there, so that worked.
okay.
In
But
the
it took a
same,
while.
in the same way that the planning board has the authority to review site plans and give permits, etc. According to whatever the Mass General Law says you can do or not do, and our bylaws. So that you wouldn't wanna have the entire zoning
Right.
bylaws
Yeah,
in the charter, but that is part of what they have to follow, is the
Okay.
zoning bylaws.
understand.
So the nitty-gritty goes into the bylaws and the broad brush goes into the charter.
So we'll have a list of all the committees or agencies in the charter.
The ones that
No.
are, the ones that.
No,
No list?
no list,
Then how do
just these
Yeah.
regulatory,
But we can't just have a list of all 30 of them?
We could,
because we could.
but
Just to say it's in the bylaws.
Or we could just have a little,
all other committees
All
will
other
operate in
committees-
accordance with the
the
Harwich
bylaw,
general bylaws.
click here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Type of thing, because if you want all 30, all of them listed, so if we decide to, we find that this committee is no longer needed, whatever its function has been, it's no longer needed. Therefore, you have to still have that committee until 2 years go by when you take it out of the charter. Keep in mind that it takes 2 years to change the charter.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to, if we're trying to simplify, and
Yeah, well,
if we're looking around the 3 different places to find where the rec committee is.
But the thing is
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's a different issue. I think that all the committees, every few years, should have their charges reviewed to make sure that they're still valid, still current,
Sure.
should they change. That's a select board issue. I think that all the charges for each committee ought to be up on the town website, so when you go to the traffic safety committee, there's our charge, right there, so you can read it.
That would be nice.
I
That's
wish-
why on the top
I
of
wish we had
my,
a town website that
Oh.
was more intuitive and more like Brewster's.
Well, that's a different issue.
Yes.
Brewster's is
Or
separate.
Chatham is a very nice
Yeah,
one.
I
ours
think
is,
it's the
ours is
same
very difficult.
Template.
We can't put that in the charter, I don't think.
Oh, we should.
But
We
I
should have a
agree,
5-member website committee.
I agree, I think that what we had for a website prior to this,
About-
Cute little
Prior to
change.
the upgrade,
prior to the upgrade, which was really a downgrade, because I know,
it's so
I can't
difficult.
find anything, there are times when I'm going, here, it should be intuitively obvious, it's there, it is not intuitive, where stuff is, you really have to hunt. Can't solve that, it's not gonna be solved through the charter,
yeah.
but I
But
think
it
there are
frustrates
things.
It's a
people, and it's
tendency of
another
Yes, it
kind
does.
of things that frustrates people because they can't
Find it.
access the information they want easily.
Yeah, I hear you, that there's stuff that you can't find, I mean, half the time I
Who
can't find our
oversees
minutes.
that? What committee oversees that, or
There is no
committee
committee,
Well,
town administrator,
It's the
town
IT.
administrator?
Oversees the IT and
stop,
I
Okay,
think,
I'm
I
sorry.
think that
we're not gonna
that's,
take shots at people, stop.
No, that wasn't a shot, that was, got me.
Remember you're
You
recording.
taking a shot at me?
No, no, we're trying to avoid criticizing people outside this room for either doing or not doing something.
Oh,
Previous.
Yes,
Gotcha.
so stop that.
A little slow to me uptake tonight.
but Linda,
What?
you did a deep dive into my head. And I'm sure it was an ugly sight.
And I am going for the bottle.
And you know, you came up with something that I've been trying to express, and you did it without thinking about it, which is the whole.
So not thinking is better than thinking. Okay,
Well,
let me
no,
write that
for you
down.
it's called unconscious competency. We can go there. How's that?
Okay,
so she's only competent when she's not conscious?
Not to go
that's
on
what
a
I'm trying to get to. He's
non-sec-
Listen, I'm trying
Should
to
we
dig
all
out of
give
a
him a
hole.
shovel here? 'Cause
I'm
he's
trying to
getting
dig
deeper.
out, okay? You're gonna
Okay.
make me forget.
Being John
Continue.
Malkovich.
So anyhow, the point that I keep trying to make, and you went right around the edge, which is, how do you get people to be accountable to something? How do you go from the select board to the TA to our committees, all to be accountable? It can't be every 2 years that they're given, that their mission is looked at. They should be given a mission at the beginning of every year, so that they can move forward. The same with all the departments, the same with the TA, so that it all flows. I took my grandkids, and this is, forgive me for this example, but to the bumper cars in Dennis.
Oh, yeah.
And this made me think of it in terms of what's going on in our discussions and in our town. And it's like, if you go there, they're supposed to go in one direction, but they hit each other and they go all over. And then you go over to another racetrack.
Not if you go,
Right.
Yeah, I was
They
about to say
all
that.
have a purpose.
I'm
They
trying to
know
put
what
up a
you're.
barrier, I'm feeling a little threatened here with
I know,
the arm.
But they all go the same way.
We're gonna tie your hands down.
But they all go
He
the
won't be
same
able
way.
to speak,
And
wait.
what is it that does that? It's the rules.
But keep in mind too, because I hear you,
Yep.
that it is the issue of, it doesn't matter how many rules and regulations, and you two are supposed to work well together. They're still people, and they may not like each other. But it's, can you get over, can people say, I really don't like this person, but I have to work with them? Because you have to do that if you're in a job.
Works with you and I.
Oh, God. But it's the, but
Oh, no.
I don't know how to put that in a charter, because
You can't.
part of this is backbone. If you have a group that is supposed to be supervising something, and they don't do it, if the rest of us are silent on it, or only whine about it in the line at Dunkin' Donuts, that doesn't help.
Would you accept just this for the time being?
Maybe.
Maybe, I know. Just that
I think
there's,
that was our
there's something to look at. There's something here. Because as we move on, I think the puzzle will start to be filled in, and we may get an answer. But at least that's what I see. At least leave it open for the time being and say, yes, people are people, but systems are put in place in order to make people or help people take certain actions.
If we didn't all think that, Lou, we wouldn't be
I
sitting
know,
here.
we're on the same page.
Do
But
you want to move further over?
I'm gonna go in the next room.
It's time to
You
bring
see that
civics
Herb sits
back.
way back.
It's the arms. I know.
okay.
And I hear you, because, I mean, I do think that, I think the select board recently has taken more of a, let's ask a committee to do something.
Yes.
They did that with I can speak for traffic safety. They asked us to take a look at something. We did, we put something together, gave it back to the select board, and it got passed. Bylaw Charter Review Committee, they asked us to look at something, and we did, and we put together words, presented it. So it is working. It may not work as perfectly as you want,
I know that too.
because some of the select board members are more involved in their liaison role than others. That's okay too.
Sometimes.
They're not required to be going to every committee meeting. It's they're available.
They shouldn't be in it.
Yeah, so
They shouldn't be at every meeting.
So immediately I go to, okay, if the liaison boards, the liaisons aren't working in some cases, then what's the fix? Not
Well,
that
the
there is one.
The liaison is only supposed to be there as a go-to.
Answer
the committee.
questions.
So they're not out in the
We've got a
wilderness.
problem with a member, we need clarification about something we're doing. But they're not a member of the committee.
Right.
They shouldn't be weighing in on the committee's work independently as a liaison. And I think the policy on liaisons is very clear about that. It's just that sometimes people overstep.
I'll leave it, just leave it open, because what Sandy just said, again, another little puzzle came into place and drawing a picture.
I
So
mean,
happy.
if,
What?
So happy.
Yeah, well, just keep giving me the puzzles,
all right.
pieces.
All right.
I think we've made a bunch of progress here,
Yes.
which I'm thrilled to pieces.
That hardly sounds like something you should be saying.
What, me? That I'm
That
thrilled to
you're thrilled to
pieces?
pieces.
I'm just thrilled to
Way too
pieces.
thrilled.
Way too early for that? I'm just thrilled to
Is it
pieces.
8:30 yet?
All right,
No,
Nope.
so. I think we're doing pretty good here.
Yes.
are we down to 4 yet?
Can we require civics in preschool?
It's not in the charter.
We should put
I
the,
think you
Can we
would,
put it in?
that is a, we should be, I mean, I would think that every individual would be at the school committee and saying, why isn't civics? It took the League of Women Voters to go to the state and get it put into the educational,
Oh, the MCAT.
yeah, and put it into the curriculum. Not the testing, but the curriculum, so that civics comes back. The number of people who have no idea what this, anybody does.
Yep.
We really are, because I had civics in
Oh, yeah.
Well, we had
school.
10 years ago, it was
Yeah.
taught.
And we don't have it anymore, so it's gotta come back, because otherwise people don't understand how to be a good citizen. There's a book that I had, it's a very thin book, but it's the rights and responsibilities of a citizen. It's the responsibilities of being a citizen. It's not your rights, it's your responsibilities, and one of them was vote, and, you know, pay attention.
Pay your taxes.
Pay, you know, but it's that, what are your responsibilities as a citizen and a voter? And it's a really interesting, because it's a short book to read. I'd have to dig out the author's name. It was really very interesting, because it did talk about vote. That's your number one responsibility.
And privilege.
And privilege.
So Linda, since you're gonna talk to the select board, might you consider asking them another question? Don't write down unless you think it's a good idea. Should the select board be mandated through the charter of having an annual meeting with at least the chairs of all the committees?
Already is.
It's in there.
It's in there? Oh, okay, perfect.
It's in there.
And it happens?
It is in there to say that they must meet with each.
Oh, no, that's not what I mean. No, not at all.
You're getting back to that vision.
I'm getting back to everybody sits in a room and the selectmen say, here's what we'd like to see get done. This year, this is how we look at our financials, so that all the chairs understand. Again, it's all leading towards one direction. So just ask what they think about it.
I have a vision of 40 people, 45 people in the room discussing where we're supposed to be going.
Oh, they're gonna
I'm
be
not gonna
told.
be in that room.
They're gonna be told where they're going. That's the difference.
I will say we have, select board will soon be interviewing for town administrator.
Yep.
The committee gave them 3 good solid names, all of whom, my sense is, have some serious skills of team building, which I think is desperately needed.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I think there's an awful lot riding on this decision at this point, but which will bring me to another point under other topics.
Okay, so I think we're pretty good on this.
So you're gonna ask or not ask?
Well, that,
I think it's
I
up
would
to,
leave that
yeah,
one.
I think it's up to the TA to do
I
that.
think
Do you?
that
That's fine with
I
it.
think that there may be many things, and it just depends. I mean, each one's a little different, but they all seem to have significant strengths in building an organization that actually works together.
and I
I have
would,
high hopes
I
for
can
the
live with that.
future.
Is the public gonna be invited to,
Once
ask
they,
questions?
once
Once
they,
they're-
they will, the interviews will be public.
I mean, look, can
Of
you
the
ask questions
finalists.
as the
No.
public?
I don't
No.
think so, no.
I think if you would like to send questions to the select board for them to consider,
To add to the
but you don't
65
don't
that the
get to,
consultants already
that they
given
already
them.
have,
John,
but,
when they're sitting up here to look at their text,
so,
Okay, just wondering. I knew they were gonna have public interviews.
Yeah.
At
we'll
the
have
end,
public
yeah.
interviews.
I mean, that's the best way, just contact
Probably
the select board.
January.
and-
say, make sure you ask about this, and they can put it on their list, maybe it'll get asked, maybe it won't,
Yeah,
but, no, you
okay.
don't get to participate. At any public meeting, the public has the right to be present and to listen. They do not have the right to participate.
At a
The
public
chair.
meeting, but a
Any
public
public-
hearing, you
It's
can
not a
speak.
public
Public,
hearing.
I'm
This
saying
is-
public meeting,
This
Yeah.
is interviews,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
so, okay,
Continuing business?
continuing
Other
business.
business?
So you got number 4, what have you got, Sandy? Go for it.
In this whole context of the town administrator, we have had for the first 90 days and a good portion of the second 90 days, an acting town administrator. We don't get to keep him past 180 days.
Right,
We're getting really close to the end.
Mm.
The interviews will be probably January.
yep,
So by that time, we will be getting really close to the end. I don't know how the selectmen are gonna sort through that, because I think that's kind of a problem for them. There's no assistant to step in and take the place. But the charter says you can have an acting for a maximum of 2 terms of 90 days. So even if they come to full agreement with somebody, let's say by the end of January, there's a whole gap there where it's a, what the hell are we gonna do?
Yeah,
and whether or not that person has to give,
If you want somebody who's worth their salt, they're gonna give wherever they are working currently a decent amount of notice. My question is, and my thought is, and I think was something we should seriously consider, and I don't wanna get into a discussion about it tonight, cause it's not on the agenda. But I want you to think about extending that time where we can have an acting town administrator. In
Oh, in the charter,
1987,
6 months?
it's already 6 months.
Yeah, it's not enough.
In 1987,
Yeah, 9.
hiring a town administrator was not all that complicated.
Now
In
it is.
2025, it's a whole different discussion. And I would like to see us go at least, give them, in the charter, rewrite it to give them at least 90 days, if not a year, to
So give
have
them
an acting town
Give them
administrator.
at least 90 days.
At least,
Okay,
at
let's
least.
think about that and let's do that for
And I will,
next meeting
Yeah.
agenda
Yeah,
and see what
that's
you
smart.
think about that, because I agree with you that
it's not enough time.
it's not enough time, and the world is different from 1980 than it is now.
Well-
You know, before you would, even I remember 2 years ago, was it our police chief standing up, or fire chief, and saying that they had some open positions, and he said he remembered the days when they would have 15 applicants for an open position. Now they're lucky if they get one.
Well, it wasn't, the
Some
problem
of
wasn't applicants. We had a total of 34 applicants.
That's great.
Wow,
Wow.
that's
That was pretty
amazing.
awesome, yeah.
Well, the
And
money was
we-
good, the money was good.
It was one guy,
Well,
34
that's
times.
what you gotta do. If you
Yeah,
want
I
top
agree.
talent, you've
I-
gotta pay.
Yeah.
And it's not crazy good.
but
It's good enough.
It's good, yeah,
Um,
it's plenty good enough.
But
Wow.
we, as a committee, we went through that process really fast.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a great committee to work with. It was kind of fun, but, we did it in, I'd say, almost record time. But it required a lot of meetings in a short period of time. I think to do the interviews, we met 3 or 4 times in 1 week.
Mhm.
So even trying to do it quickly, it's not quick.
No,
Could the
it's not.
interim TA be hired as the interim assistant TA? With a bumped up salary?
Yeah, I don't think he wants
That's a
that.
problem for the select board.
That's his that's their problem.
Oh, he
whatever-
really doesn't wanna stay.
But
He
that's
doesn't-
their, but
Oh,
that's their
I don't
problem.
know.
He's retired
I
twice
don't know.
already.
I'm just saying that I do know
Yeah,
that it's not enough time.
It's not enough
That's all
time.
I'm talking about, whether this can happen or that can happen, or, the select would just blow through the charter and say, the hell with it, we're just gonna go with it. I don't have a clue.
it's too close to the holidays to do the interviews pre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a problem, so I don't wanna get into, what the select board could or couldn't do, cause that's their problem.
Their problem.
I would like to see it in the future not be that kind of a problem again.
All right, so
And
I'll
thinking
stick,
about that, Sandy,
I think,
No, we're not
let's
gonna-
save
we're not
it for
gonna discuss
discussion
it
for next
anymore.
week.
so the next meeting agenda, if you'd all think about that, and if that is one of the proposals that we put in, it'll be agenda next week and we can chew on it for a
Yeah,
while.
that'd be great.
I think the question for the select board ultimately might be, how long is long enough?
Mhm.
And I would lobby for a year at this point, but again, discussion next week would be
Yes.
good.
Okay, so it should be extended. Okay,
Uh,
sir,
Ask a question, are we at
Certainly.
a question point?
sure.
Is, we've invited selectmen, to other board member, department heads to come in and speak to us. How about asking former selectmen or town administrators?
Former
come in.
town administrators,
Yeah,
not happening,
yeah.
Yeah,
not
that'd
happening.
be
I mean, it doesn't hurt to
No
ask
go.
them.
No, it does,
Why?
don't.
There's a reason they're not.
that's the reason.
Town
It's a
Yeah.
contractual,
administrators.
when they left too, I
Yeah.
don't think they would be able to even do
I
that.
don't, no,
Yeah,
you
you're
don't,
right.
you
I
don't
don't
wanna
think
go
so.
there, John.
Okay, what about selectmen?
We did have the select board in.
No, other former selectmen,
Why?
Why?
why not?
We do.
We have two right
We have
here.
two over there, we're good.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just, I've always liked to invite people,
They're
give you
probably
the
welcome.
It's just the
opportunity
men.
to
Select
decline, but at least you've invited them.
Sean, may I?
Mhm.
Let's think of one or two
Okay,
that we think might add, rather than just a blanket statement. That might
yeah.
help.
Yeah, I agree. I've talked to a couple former selectmen and they're watching our
board.
thing.
Select
they're perfectly
board.
welcome to,
Select board,
they're
How old
perfectly
were-
welcome
were
to
they
join
all
us
men?
anytime they want to.
that's what I suggested.
But
So,
keep in mind too, that as we're saying that times have changed from 1980, I was on the
Seven.
select board
Not that
10
long
years ago.
Not that long ago.
but it's long enough that there have been significant changes.
Yeah.
So what I think ought to happen may not be the reality of what is here.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, just a question.
Yeah, we're doing future planning.
You know, I've always been of the opinion, you should ask.
And we-
people
and
always
Say,
forget.
nothing is preventing them from joining us
Yeah,
anytime.
no.
And plus, we're having that
Absolutely.
letter to the Chronicle, so
Yeah.
that would be the time.
Yeah.
so hope it would be nice to have them, have people, I mean, we've asked we asked all the
Oh, yeah,
committees, all
no.
the town agencies, the committees, not the department heads, but the
Mhm.
committees. And we heard from water, wastewater, we heard from finance committee and capital outlay, those three.
We might wanna
Yeah.
extend the invitation as a committee to the planning board, since we're talking about something that they might consider
Oh,
a
that's
radical
interesting.
change.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's why, I'll talk to the
Chair,
chair
yeah.
and see if they would like to, because then they would have to agenda, they would have to discuss themselves, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly happy to have them,
Yeah.
but
And they may have some thoughts about
And-
other things.
I'd rather have a list of no to people we've invited than a list of people that said, you never invited me. And contrary to what you
Invited
say,
everybody.
But you know,
if contrary to what you said about they can come, if you invite them, you've invited them. That's just my opinion.
But
Okay.
they're not active.
No,
Everybody
no,
that
I
we've
mean-
invited are active.
It's whatever. If we
I
think
mean,
they're important, I would think
they're-
they'd be important to the solution here,
now I'm gonna ask,
personally.
I'll ask this question just to see if we can get this moving, this conversation moving, which is, it was back in maybe August where we sent out, I was able to send out a request to all the department heads and saying, we'd love to hear what you have to say that on the charter, et cetera, et cetera. And we heard from 3 of them, which I thought was really great. Do you want to resend that letter and say, you-hoo,
We're still here, where are you?
we're still here, where are you?
Yeah, we do that.
Because I've got
It's a
that,
good, you know what, yes, I think that's
Yeah,
good.
I just-
and now that we have
We're
town
fine.
committee, we all have town emails,
Mhm.
it would be easier for me to do it, cause I can just send it to all the chairs
Yeah.
and blow it out. And
Works.
that would be easier, cause before I had to go through town administration, and Natasha is great, but she has work to do too. So,
Plenty
When
to
do
do.
town emails take effect?
Now.
Listing, no, I mean,
now,
I haven't seen it listed in the website of people.
Look at Brewster's now.
no, I'm not sure I understand.
On the website. and
On the
then
website,
committee.
all the
Everybody's
committee
had-
members, the town email is not there.
I'll send you a copy of it, they sent them, handed it out during that training
Right,
thing.
but if you go into your town email and you know who the person is,
It will populate
come-
for you.
It'll populate for
No,
you.
I think he's talking about the general public.
okay, well,
Yeah.
I can't deal with why it's not on the town
Oh,
town
that's what I'm
website.
talking about.
I can't deal with that. That's a,
That's
That's why you can't even find
I
it.
thought that
Yes,
was the
sir.
whole purpose of this.
No.
it will be done,
Okay.
but it's obviously not being done as fast as you want it
No, I
done.
just asking, where can I go to get them then?
Get what?
Like Dave Nixon, I wanted to send
You
Dave.
just
a
start
note.
type
typing
his
his
name.
name in,
Just
and it
type
will
David
populate,
dot and
Into
it'll
where?
because he
populate.
comes up as a member,
Will
so
you
it
pull
will
up your
populate.
Microsoft account for this?
Pull up your,
Look, I'll have Brendan show me how.
Yeah.
Just write your two, the same way you would as if you were doing a regular email.
Mhm.
Only it's
Oh,
gonna
on
be
the-
the name dot,
Yeah.
first name dot last name, and then
Okay.
it'll pop right
Cool.
up on your
See?
account.
I'll
So,
learn something
yeah.
new here. Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So it's really, cause that's the whole point of, it's
Yeah.
all in there.
Well, I was trying to
So-
find.
I will resend that.
Yeah, it does make life a little easier once you get the,
Once you get the
Sense of
hang
it,
of it,
yeah.
So where
you
would it
just
go
gotta get the
here?
hang of
Pick-
it.
pick
See, like
it's
right now I'm
different.
typing in Larry, it populates.
See? Yeah, that's all you do.
Just be careful you don't click too fast. 'Cause-
I can do it afterwards, we can.
you could wind up sending it to the whole
Yeah,
town.
be
Or
careful.
to the wrong David or the wrong
Yeah.
John or.
But it does,
Well,
but if
you're
you
not
just
doing
put down,
anything wrong,
if
it
you
shouldn't
put,
matter.
if you put
Right.
David dot, if there are
Shouldn't
3
be doing anything
Davids,
wrong anyway.
they'll all be showing up, so
Mhm.
you can just pick the one you want. No, it's very easy to use.
Yeah, it's a good system.
Fine.
So,
Yeah, everyone comes up, yeah.
do you want to, we had, a year ago, in the summer, we decided as a committee not to send a request to department heads.
I'd do it.
So, and we revisited it, cause the comment came up, why didn't we? And nobody wanted to do it. So I'm gonna ask again, do you want to ask department heads?
Yes.
If
Yes.
they
I would
have
ask
some stuff.
department heads
Yes.
For sure, yeah.
We can ask.
I'm not sure
And as
no
long
one
as they
wanted to
understand
do it.
it's It's really a,
related to the charter.
related to the charter.
Yeah, it's only just
very
the charter.
dry. We're not looking for,
We might wanna run it past Tony just as a practical matter, if he has any objection to doing that.
I will
Because
ask.
we would be asking them probably to come outside of regular business hours, and we can't command them, it's voluntary, but it's not gonna be during office hours.
Or they could send us an email that says, we
Correct.
would like you to look at such and thus, and
Yeah.
Yep.
my guess is we won't get much.
But they're the ones who
Nothing
have to live
ventured,
under it
nothing
every
gained.
day.
Yeah.
I think their input would be.
Okay, so
or
that's,
should we do one meeting during, 8 to 4 hours
to do what?
to accommodate
I
town
could get their
employees?
individual feedback would be better.
Just throwing out.
Yeah.
idea.
I get it, yeah. But
So
I would as
I think a good
courtesy go-
idea to
go
ask
through
Tony if that's okay,
Yeah,
so,
I like it.
okay, next week's agenda. I know we have one item on it. We've made a lot of progress today. I should have a draft of our report to the town.
Oh, you. Aren't those fun?
I have 3 of them to do.
Glutton for
The
punishment.
clerk is willing to help you anytime.
You and I write differently. I can just imagine what you would be. Ranting on something. Gotta keep it dry and professional. Do we want to also take a crack at Charter Commission?
Excuse me?
Charter Compliance, Charter and Bylaw Compliance Commission.
That would be lovely.
You two prepared to at least start that conversation next
We
week?
already did.
Can we,
Compliance.
Yeah, I was gonna. I
The
have
whole
a
compliance bit,
holiday thing next week.
okay, well,
Sandy wrote a very beautiful thing.
okay.
Right, yeah, it's,
I added a couple words,
I don't
but,
even
can we
remember it, it's
maybe
been so
also
long.
take a look at exactly where are we, what have we done?
I've
'Cause
got
I
that,
think- yeah.
I've got, well,
Okay, I think back and I say, what did we decide on the TA? And try to go through notes and,
well, I've given a list,
I know.
so read through that as to where we are, but I think we need to go back to, in January, we need to go back to Select Board and TA.
okay.
Because I think a lot of the stuff we've talked about is gonna start driving some thoughts on Select Board and TA.
perfect.
So I think that January starts again, going back through TA, Select Board, but it's a possibility that we could do compliance, because next week,
I'm fair, I'm fine
and we
with
have,
that.
I don't
we
know,
have 2 meetings.
I don't know
One,
exactly
excuse me.
when the interviews are gonna be with these 3 people. But I think each and every one of us should watch them, because you may find that they provide some insights that we haven't.
Yep.
I felt that in talking with them, that there were things that they were talking about that I went, oh, yeah, as a way,
Mhm.
and I think that would be helpful.
I think
So
that's
that's your
true.
homework.
So,
You got it.
so compliance, next week, the
Works.
first crack at compliance, and then in January, once we get through some level of compliance, we can look through I'll reissue that, like 5 pages at this point of where we are, and we can go through, in the beginning of January at our first meeting, the open issues. What are the things we're still open on? Things like, do we have more elected people? We're not gonna solve that. That goes to a public meeting. There's some things, though, that I think we can start ticking off.
When are we up for that first public hearing? What's the date on that?
There's no date.
There's no
I
date.
thought it was the 24th,
Of what?
Christmas.
Yeah,
There's no date at this point.
okay.
You know, just kind of generalized
There's a
January, February
timeline
or
on it
something.
though, isn't there?
not ready.
No, there's a timeline on the first report to the state and the select board, which is September.
Okay,
And then I think it's
So we're not-
November is the final
we're
report.
not under a gun.
No, we're not under a gun that we have to have.
Before town meeting, right?
27 town meeting, not this next,
Yeah,
it's not
not
coming
this
up
one.
this year.
yeah.
It's
So,
going,
no, but we don't need to have a.
Anything for
townwide-
town meeting?
Well,
Or like a big hearing, kind of?
yeah, cause I'm just thinking pragmatically, once you get into June, and then the summer is hard to do that sort of
No,
thing.
September's good, perfect, actually.
September, okay.
Because the charter doesn't go to town meeting, right? It goes to
No,
elections.
correct, goes
yeah.
directly to them.
Oh,
But I think it would behoove us
Oh, yeah.
at the town meeting in May of
Be
'26
able to hand out
that
something.
we ask the town moderator, because committees and commissions, et cetera, get to make a report at town meeting.
Right.
I think it would behoove us to have a report to town meeting, because we kind of have a captive audience
I think
there.
it's very-
No, I
very
Yeah,
think we
good.
should
yeah.
learn.
And have a quick, this is what we've been doing, these are the things we're looking at, da-da-da-da-da-da, because that also gets it on and people don't go to town meeting, can watch it, it would be at the beginning as opposed to the middle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are things we can do. Okay, cool.
And then we'll be well behaved.
Okay, that's what
And
we-
then we will
Free
be
pizza
well
at
behaved.
Charter
Linda, okay.
Commission.
Sandy, would you mind sending out the compliance to everybody, the letter?
Did I not?
You
I
did,
will.
but people might not find
I
it.
will be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want me to
haven't
speak to
seen-
this, my little homework assignment? Everyone got, I sent this today?
Yes.
Yes.
Just real quickly.
Yep.
So what I did was first, hopefully the format works for everybody as you read through
Yeah,
it.
it was great.
So the first part is, is there a charge or mission statement on the
Oh, I haven't
website?
seen that.
I gathered the,
When did you send that?
Just
today.
Couple days ago.
Oh, okay, I've been.
Yeah.
Yesterday, maybe.
So the general well, I have copies, yes, come on, as we're talking, why not, I made them.
I've
I've
Yeah,
got,
you can toss what you want, these are just extra ones I had.
Thank you.
So up top, just noted, just what was on the website, then I went to the general bylaw,
Oh, okay.
and then I went to the charter, and then I went to Mass General Law. So this has a lot to do with, we were talking about appointing and elected. So just based on the 6 I did, it looks like only planning and assessors can have the option to have someone elected, where ZBA, Historic, Health, and Conservation cannot. But I would take the time and read through this. I did add some hyperlinks.
Yeah.
If you like using your phone, you can use the QR code in the back, and that will get you to the Mass General Law as well. Okay?
This is not, okay, I got,
It
It's in
should-
your email.
It should be there.
so you're looking at.
And I did it for planning, ZBA, Historic, Health,
There
Conservation.
were
and
several of them that came in the email.
Okay. I haven't
Six of
seen
them.
that.
there are like 6 of them.
And then-
So hopefully that'll be helpful in guiding through. And then
It
what I did
was.
is I highlighted wherever I saw, how many members, and then in blue or teal on the computer, it looked more like teal, if the word elected ever came up. So you'll see that, and how they're appointed or elected.
I found some of it interesting because the conservation one is, the Harwich Conservation Commission is a volunteer
Brendan,
board,
I don't have it.
Okay.
I can send it to you then, of 7 citizens. Okay, so you go to planning and assessors, they're members. I think one of the things we can do is clean up some of the verbiage, so it's at least reasonably
You
consistent.
should, I sent it to you. I can refresh it just to you.
For some reason this isn't. Oh, I'm sorry, because I don't have it on the internet. That's all right, I'll get it when I get home.
Yeah, I'll resend just so you have it. And I thought it was interesting, and when you get to, I think it was, one was so complicated, I think it was Board of Health. It wasn't as straightforward, because you had to go to another Mass General Law to get, and it's very plain language, so it jumps. Everything else is pretty straightforward, so.
Yeah.
Well, this should give you a
The
sense of,
Mass General Law dictates that the ZBA has to be appointed?
from what I read, I don't see any other language that has anything that uses the word elected. So, but I mean,
it
take a look,
doesn't- It doesn't specifically, I'll take a look at it.
yeah, take a look at it. I mean, this was just a guide to get
Because
you
unless
going.
it specifically
Yeah.
prohibits it, I'm not sure that's.
Right.
the
Well,
end of the
Mass General,
discussion.
if you look at planning board, it says, blah, blah, blah. Members shall be appointed by the mayor, and in towns, be elected at the annual meeting, or be appointed in such manner as an annual town meeting may determine.
Mm-hmm. So
So,
that's interesting.
You can
language,
do
isn't it?
either one.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, in many cases, we are not constricted by some of those things. That's the point of having a charter.
Mm-hmm.
So, many towns have elected planning boards.
Yeah. And the Board of Assessors can be elected or appointed. So I think they give you the leeway a little bit. Conservation, appointed by the select board, so there's no election. I'm just saying in Mass General Law, whether you wanna
Right.
go do something different, but if you're looking specifically at Mass General Law, and it's da-da-da-da,
Well, I say,
they're all appointed.
it may or
ZBA.
may not be,
Yeah, ZBA was appointed, but planning does have the option for the election. But hopefully, like I said, I didn't go crazy with the highlighter because I don't want to. It'd be tough to read it. So hopefully it
And
makes sense.
I read through each one of them, I didn't highlight things, but I read through each one, and I thought it was, thank you very much
Yep.
for that information.
No problem.
I think that whether or not somebody can be elected or appointed, or can be elected, I think will become a question that will go to our consultants and say, tell us, can we do this? Because if we can't, then it's kind of silly to
Yeah.
have it put out to the public, would you like to do more elections, if you can't do it?
That's why it'd be nice to vet that before we do the
Yes.
public
Chapter
forums.
48, section 12.
I don't know, which one is that?
That's zoning.
That's, yeah, but that's a ZBA, that's what you were talking about, I was looking it up. And it says, unless a city or town charter says otherwise, members of the ZBA are appointed, not elected, unless the
Yeah.
charter says otherwise, so.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is that one of the whole points and purposes of having a charter is that you are allowed to do things differently as a town, so long as it doesn't basically conflict with the Massachusetts Constitution. It doesn't always have to be strictly guided by Mass General Law. So,
But,
Where'd you read
that has
that?
been my
And Lou is
understanding.
correct, it says, unless otherwise provided by a charter,
You're-
they
you're-
get appointed, so they could
And that
do,
makes it,
there
yeah.
could be something else.
Yep.
That's
But,
why if you could all read through it just to gather all that information.
yeah,
It's interesting
you
about
understand
charters, it's like the recall. Towns without charters can't have recall.
I know, I found that interesting,
And
the
the
first
state
time
does
you,
not have recall.
I found it fascinating that the first time you mentioned that if you didn't have a charter, you couldn't have recall, and I thought, wow,
Yeah, well, the
that is a
state,
number one reason
Because
for
it's
one,
not spelled out.
because it's not spelled out.
well, the
whatever.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts has no provision for recall of its state government, so we can't, think about that.
Yeah, we can't recall anybody. There's no recall provision for state government.
How nice.
Probably not
Tenure.
even one for the federal government either.
Where's Whitey when you need him?
Tenure.
Interesting, no, probably not.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Whitey's gone.
so, enough. Okay, we good?
We're good.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 8:03.
Excellent. How do we stop this?
Throwing her
Red button.
power around.
What?
I said, look at her throwing her power